I am Maido Babylen from Group 5 Carbon. What I know. What I know is that we're going to have a laboratory experiment about the blood and parasitic cells. What I want to know. I want to know about the details about any abnormalities or infections detected in the blood, as well as the extent of any parasitic infections. What I learned. I've learned a lot from our laboratory experiment after conducting the laboratory experiment on blood and parasitic cells. I gained specific insight into any abnormalities or infections present in the blood, which facilitated accurate diagnosis and informed treatment decisions. How I learned it. We performed laboratory experiment, and that's how I learned those things, and I follow the step-by-step procedures.
What I know. Blood brings oxygen and nutrients to all the parts of the body so they can keep working. Blood carries carbon dioxide and other waste materials to the lungs, kidneys, and digestive system to be removed from the body. Blood also fights infections and carries hormones around the body. Next, what I want to know. I want to know about how does it protect the body from diseases, infections, and foreign bodies through the action of white blood cells. Next, what I learned. I learned that if we are really healthy, then our blood would clot normally if we got tears in the skin. And the last is how I learned it. I learned it through experiment. I learned it through following the procedures and listening to our instructors. Teamwork is really a good factor which helped me to learn and perform successfully.
So what I know that parasitic cells are cells that belong to parasites, which are organisms that live and feed off other organisms known as hosts. So what I want to know, I want to explore about the diagnostic methods for detecting parasitic infections. What I learned. So I learned about the blood smears, where a thin layer of blood is spread on a slide and stained to examine the morphology of blood cells under a microscope. And how I learned it. I've learned it by following the procedures. That's
what I know about blood and parasitic cells. Blood is a vital fluid in the human body that carries oxygen, nutrients, and waste products. And parasitic cells are organisms that live and feed of other organisms, often causing harm or disease. What I want to know about blood and parasitic cells is how do parasitic infection affect the blood, or what are the symptoms of a parasitic infection in the blood, and how are blood transfusion affected by parasitic infection, and how does immune system respond to parasitic infection in the blood. What I learned about blood and parasitic cells. Blood is a vital fluid composed of different cells including red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. While parasitic cells are cells belonging to parasitic organisms that can infect the blood and cause disease such as malaria. How I learned it about blood and parasitic cells. I learned about blood and parasitic cells by studying the function of blood as a vital fluid that transports oxygen and nutrients, while understanding parasitic cells as organisms to rely on hosts, causing disease and complications.
The parasitic cells I choose is helminths. What I know, helminths are a diverse group of parasitic worms that belong to the phylum Platyhelminthes or flatworms, and phylum Nematoda or roundworms. These organisms can infect humans and animals, causing a wide range of diseases known as helminthiasis. What I want to know, the things I want to know about helminths is how it affects into human and animals. What I learned, the things I learned about helminths is a parasitic worms that affects human and animals. They can cause diseases. Treatment usually involves medications to kill the worms, but prevention through hygiene and sanitation is essential. How I learned it through research.
Hello everyone. everyone, I am James Benedict si Malvas. So today we'll be answering the KWLH chart on blood and parasitic cells. So first is the what I know. What I know is that observing both components may vary involving the examination and analyzing of many components of the blood and parasitic cells, that is the size, shapes, and its movements. So let's proceed to what I want to know. So what I want to know is how everything works and what does it look like in the microscope. Let's proceed to the what I learned. So that I learned everything, as it is fascinating how science works. So let's proceed to the last question, the how I learned it. By earning trust and patience and carefully doing the process, you can earn So let's proceed to the last question, how I learned it. So by earning and gaining patience and trust and carefully doing the process, you can achieve the outcome of your output in no time. And also by trusting each uh, of your doings, your task will be done and you will be satisfied to the outcome. Let's go. Thank you.
What I know, blood is a vital fluid in the body responsible for transporting nutrients, oxygen, and waste products. What I want to know, how do parasites enter the bloodstream and what are their effects on the body? What I learned, treatment for parasitic infections varies depending on the type of parasite and may include medication, lifestyle changes, and preventive measures such as vector control. How I found out, by researching and following the procedures in the experiment.